And joining us now is Andrew Rasoulis, Fellow at Canadian Defence and Foreign Affairs Institute. Thanks for being here with us today, Andrew.
You're very welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. Now, Canada is stopping direct financial assistance to Niger. Do you think this is a good move on Canada's part?
Well, Canada has to do something. You always get caught up in these things when you're assisting countries that are democratically fragile, and sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes there's backward sliding. This happened in other countries as well. I mean, it happened in Mali, for example, a few years ago. So you persist with your foreign assistance as much as possible and your military training assistance. It has to be very calibrated and it must be always audited to see where it's going. Now, Canada has taken a very measured step here because it has only suspended the direct financial aid to the government. It has not suspended its foreign assistance aid, which is going to vulnerable people in the areas of medical support and education. Now, we haven't heard from the Canadian government what it's doing with its military training assistance program vis-a-vis Niger. That's still no evidence as to where that's going yet.
What do you think the reaction will be in Niger to this announcement?
I think they understand that Canada has been actually quite moderate in this respect. And so it is not on the forefront of the concerns of the Nigerian government. What they're really concerned about is the efforts of ECOWAS and the French government to try and overturn the coup. Now, on the other side, the Russians have indicated their support for the current coup leaders, and the Wagner group, which is very active in certain parts of Africa, particularly this area, and in Mali and the Burkina Faso on both sides of Niger, are there to support the coup leaders. So it's a very dynamic situation.
Yes, what are the implications of this, that these new leaders are asking Wagner for help?
Well, Russia has been on a path of restoring and enhancing its longstanding relations with certain countries of Africa. This goes back to the days of the Soviet Union and the Cold War, where the Soviets tried to influence certain parts of Africa, and the West, the United States, and France, and other countries influenced other parts of Africa. And we're back to that now in many ways. So the Russians are actually using this event in Niger to enhance its standing in Africa. It's already got a good foothold in Mali and in Burkina Faso. So this is the next step for the Russians to enhance their position in Africa.
Now, I want to go back to something you said earlier. Canada hasn't said anything about the status of its counterterrorism and special forces training for Niger. Why do you think they haven't, and do you think that will continue?
This is a delicate balance because at the same time, the Canadian military assistance is geared primarily against it's a counterterrorism in the northern part of Niger, in the entire Sahel region. This has been ongoing for since at least 2013. Now, in Mali, the Western efforts, and France in particular, have been expelled, and now it's the Russians that are playing a role there. The question then becomes, what will happen in Niger? Will the Nigerians actually ask Canada to leave? We're not sure yet.
Now, the military junta has a Sunday deadline from the Economic Community of West African States. What are the outcomes of that deadline?
Well, they're threatening an array of measures to be taken against the coup leaders in Niger, including the potential of military intervention. And France has said that he would support ECOWAS, and presumably one would assume French military assistance would be there as the backup for this. Now, Mali and Burkina Faso have said publicly that if this happens, they will help Niger resist. So this is why it's not a very easy situation for ECOWAS or France to try to intervene in this. I think there's going to be a lot of behind-the-scenes negotiations and deals being made here.
Andrew, we are unfortunately out of time. Andrew Rasoulis, Fellow at Canadian Defence and Foreign Affairs Institute, thank you very much for your time today.
You're very welcome.